I'm the administrator at the Portsmouth Area Chamber of Commerce. I've been with the Chamber of Commerce about 22 years. Really enjoy my job. I work with the business community. The Chamber of Commerce is a business organization of about 500 members. It's basically a networking organization for businesses in order to get together and to grow their businesses and grow ideas together.
And so that means that you don't just work with businesses here in Portsmouth, you work with the whole county?
Yes, we cover the whole county. We're actually a regional chamber, and we have members all over the county. We actually even have a few members across the river in Kentucky.
Oh, nice. Okay, and so what we're going to talk about is type 2 diabetes, okay, particularly. And I wonder, when you hear the word diabetes, what comes to mind? What do you think of?
Normally, I guess, when I think of diabetes, I think of a disease. I have a lot of diabetes in my family, obviously, so I think of a disease. And the other thing that comes to mind with that disease is your diet, mm-hmm, of what you eat, mm-hmm, that affects the diabetes.
And so you do have this problem in your family. Mm-hmm. Could you just tell us just a little bit about that?
Well, my grandfather, who I never met, he died when my mother was only 6 years old, so obviously, I never got to meet him, but all the stories that I've heard about him usually had to deal with his diabetes because it had affected his health so much. He actually died in a physical altercation that maybe the diabetes probably hindered his healing from that. Mm-hmm. But I know the stories that I hear about him. My mother talked about how he was a robust man, and then the diabetes had taken him down. I guess it was really bad for him. And in fact, now this was in the 1930s, because he died in 1943, so this would have been in the late 30s, early 40s, and he had been out of town working somewhere, and they contacted his family. Apparently they thought he was like a drunk, but it was a result of the diabetes. He did not drink, mm-hmm, so he was having some side effects of the diabetes.
And other folks in your family?
My mother did have diabetes, and she passed away with colon cancer, but obviously she did have diabetes, mm-hmm, also.
And do you have siblings?
Yes, I do have one brother, and he does not have diabetes yet, and I don't yet either, but we monitor it very closely because of the family history.
So you are concerned?
Oh, yes, mm-hmm.
And what do you think causes diabetes?
Well, obviously the way you eat, and heredity, I believe. That's the way I understand it. Heredity in your diet.
And do you think that there might be any risk factors in the community around diabetes?
Well, our unhealthy lifestyles. Not so much just in our community, but a lot of communities. We've got to be such a fast society, fast food. A lack of exercise, things like that.
When you say lifestyle, can you say a little bit more what that means to you?
Our sedentary lifestyles. I know with children, I have a real concern. I raised two healthy boys, obviously with the thought of the diabetes in the family, because I spoke a little bit about my diabetes on my side of the family, but the family I married into, my father-in-law had diabetes, and actually ended up dying with some heart problems due to the diabetes. And so obviously with my sons, that was always in the back of my mind. And they were very active. They're older now. One's 25 and one's almost 30. Very active boys. They played sports. But I've adopted a daughter now, and she's only 7. But I see such a change just in those number of years to the lifestyles that children have. They're not as active. They're the video game generation and everything. And I always encourage her to get exercise. But just like I say, our lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the young children.
Mm-hmm. How are your boys doing now?
Oh, just fine.
Are
Yeah.
they active?
Very active. Yeah. My oldest son had actually. They were very active. They played baseball and football in high school. My oldest son, who will be 29 tomorrow, gained a lot of weight after he got out of school. He went to college, then of course went into the workforce and gained a lot of weight. They're both big guys. They're like 6'3".
Mm-hmm.
Gained a lot of weight, and he started feeling the health effects of it. Started developing some sleep apnea and things, and of course we talked about the health issues with diabetes in the family and everything. So he made a conscious decision to get healthy, and he's lost about 120 pounds.
Wow.
And feels wonderful.
And so how did he do it?
Diet and exercise. He works out every day. He goes to the Life Center, our local Life Center, cut out all fast food, the occasional pizza I think he still allows himself to have, but he cut back on his alcohol intake, and it took him about 1.5 years to lose that much. It wasn't quick.
Mm-hmm.
So he's actually inspired me to try to do a little bit better.
Well, good. That's good. It's interesting how families can support one another.
Yeah.
So, during that time when he was doing that, how'd you give him support?
Well, when he first started talking to me about the sleep apnea, he told me, he said, Mom, he said, I wake up at night and I can't breathe. And the way he was built, he did carry a lot of weight in the middle. And I told him, I said, that's scary. I said, that's sleep apnea, and you really need to, do something about your weight. And I think that was the first real effect he had felt of the weight. He probably was tired and sluggish, but didn't want to contribute it to the weight gain. But when it came to the sleep apnea, he was real concerned. And so I kind of like I say, was just as supportive as in every way that I could. To try to teach him to have a better diet. He had already moved out of the home, so he was not at my home. But, and I tried to, let him know that, because even before he had moved out of the home, I had, tried to not have so much of the convenience foods in the house, the quick frozen dinners, the things like that. And so he had a good sense of healthy eating.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it just had to do with portion control. And like I say, he needed to get back to exercising. So actually for the first couple of years, for his birthday, I bought him a membership at the local gym for exercise, and he keeps it up now.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm so
Wonderful.
proud of him. Yeah.
That's a wonderful, wonderful testimony.
Yeah.
Being in the job that you've had, especially over the number of years, I'm sure you're out and about in the community quite a bit.
Uh-huh.
And are you noticing more younger children that are overweight or obese?
Oh yeah. Like I say, and I know, because I've kind of, where I raised 2 children and then adopted another, I've raised kids in 2 different generations, and it's a real concern to me, and I do see that, and it bothers me. I was not a real overweight child. Wasn't small by any means, and I know my dad had been an athlete, and he always encouraged us to exercise. He would have us out running in the yard, riding the bicycle, and things like that. And he still does that with my little girl.
Mm-hmm.
She goes to his house after school, and I'll come home from work, and he'll tell me what she ate. And he'll say, "Now she didn't get any exercise today, or I couldn't get her on the trampoline, But he's real conscious of that. But yeah, I do. I have a different perspective on things, where I have raised kids in 2 different generations. I see a lot of differences.
I like the idea of Grandpa sort of encouraging.
Oh yeah. He broke down. He really did. He let her have a scooter for Christmas. But his real concern was that she wouldn't get the exercise that she would on a bicycle, because it's a motorized scooter.
Mm-hmm.
He says, "Now you have to keep her on that bicycle." You know, I said, oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. And, I think most of us who are older now, that was what we did.
Yeah.
And looking at communities at large, I wonder if you've given any thought to ways to sort of increase intergenerational activity so that the older grandparents are actually getting it, because it's good for them too.
Oh yeah.
And making it more fun than maybe parents might see.
I hadn't really given it much thought, but I do know when I adopted my little girl, and was so glad to get her. I thought she'll either kill me or get me in shape one, And but it's my dad is 75 years old, and he is as healthy as any 50-year-old. And he's been retired for a good long time, and I really think I can really see a difference that she has made with him in keeping him active. So yeah, that's interesting that you brought that up, because that would be kind of good to see. I'm sure there's a lot of things that could be done there.
I know that being with the Chamber, that a lot of your work has to do with promoting opportunities for economic development and putting people to work, basically, right? Which is good for folks and good for the community. And when I think about defining health, I really think about the importance of thinking about employment or vocation, having something meaningful to do. And so I'm wondering if in the Chamber, if you have any discussion around those topics when the groups come together with your networks.
We do. We actually, we sponsor a program with the Bureau of Workers' Comp, with the Ohio Bureau of Workers' Comp. It's our local safety council. And this past, and what our requirement is for the Bureau is that we host at least 10 meetings a year. We host about 14 actually. We meet monthly to discuss safety topics. Well, in this past year, we have made the commitment as a chamber. We've made the commitment to focus on safety along with health and wellness, because we feel they go together. And like I say, we feel like all of our employers benefit from that, because we can all talk about safety, different electrical issues and things like that. But when you talk about health and wellness, you're affecting every employer, not just construction or trades. Because with our safety council, we deal with small offices, we deal with manufacturing, healthcare. And when you talk about safety in those industries, there's a broad spectrum, But like I say, the health and wellness, that's across the board. So yeah, we focused this last year. All of our meetings actually have focused on health and wellness.
That's exciting, actually.
Oh yeah, we were really excited to get to do that, because when we approached the Bureau with it, that we felt it was important to tie the health and wellness factor into that. They were excited too, and it's worked out real well for us.
Well, it's hard to be healthy if you don't have a job.
Yes.
And you can't have a job if you're not healthy.
Exactly. Yeah. We all want healthy employees.
That's right. And I mean, I think if there's the cost benefit savings monetarily for businesses, but it also increases productivity.
Absolutely.
And lots of other things that are really valuable. And I don't know how much you know about the Diabetes Coalition. This is a grant that we have, a 5-year grant, and we're just finishing the first year of the grant, which has been generally a assessment of the community health-wise, and trying to begin to think about some directions to go. So right now the coalition's right in the planning stage of thinking about what way do they want to go, and what do they want to accomplish in the next 4 years of this grant. And so it appears that they're looking at this idea of developing an identity, right, a theme that can be used throughout the whole county to really think about getting fit, being healthy, promoting wellness. They haven't come up with the theme yet, or what that's going to be, but one of the important things that will happen is really then taking this into the community in a lot of different ways to think about how to make that happen. And it would seem that the Chamber of Commerce would be an ideal place to sort of insert some of these ideas and get them out to the people. Most of the counties in this project they're all rural, but a lot of them are much smaller. So Scioto County is actually the biggest county in this project. So we're looking at how is it in a rural county that's still a little bit larger, how do you get the message out to Minford, and how do you get the message out to Otway, and to, you know, Wheelersburg is kind of easier, but you know, how do you do that? And so I wonder if you have some ideas or thoughts about that.
Well, with the Chamber of Commerce, like I said, we do cover the entire county, and we have very good ways of communicating with all of our members throughout the county. One way that we do that is our Chamber of Commerce newsletter. We feel like that's anything we need to communicate, that's a very good way, a very good tool. It reaches about 830 to 840 individuals. Our membership's around 500, but our newsletter does reach about 830. There's always opportunities in there to communicate things, and we work with nonprofits to get those kind of messages out. Also, the Chamber provides in the community, we keep a very comprehensive list of clubs and organizations, several pages of different types of civic clubs from every spectrum of the communities you can imagine. And a lot of those communities have like over 55 clubs. So we've got the Red Hatters, the Rotary, Kiwanis, and like I say, we make that list available, and that's always a good way to communicate too, because a lot of those groups are always looking for speakers, looking for ideas, looking for things to share with their group.
Do they get the newsletter?
No, not on a regular basis. Now, some of the clubs and organizations are chamber members, and those do get the newsletter.
Okay. If with your newsletter currently, do you have a health column?
No, we don't. That's something we would consider.
Would you consider that?
Yes, we would consider that.
If we were
Sure.
the writers and gave that to you on a monthly basis, would that be?
Yes, we would consider that. Now, we would, as a Chamber of Commerce, we would have to open that up, obviously, to other health professionals and other groups also. It couldn't really be an exclusive, but
Sure.
that's something we would consider. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, because that would be certainly a way to
Oh, yeah.
get the message
That
out
would
to
be.
a lot of people,
Yeah,
and
that's a
actually,
great idea.
and build something,
Exactly.
consistent.
Yeah.
Sometimes what I see is that, you have to tell people 3 times before they really hear it.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
then maybe 6 before we remember, or maybe 9 before we start doing it. It takes a lot of telling to actually get that message out. Well, I think that once we, and I say we because I'm the project director, and I'm not really in charge of the coalition here, but I'm invested because I have lived here in this county for a long time, and certainly am invested in the efforts. And the coalition's affiliated with the hospital and other health providers as well. So it would be a wonderful way for us to help or to contribute to the health of the community. One of the things I've been really very concerned about is it's easy if you're just here in Portsmouth to just think about Portsmouth, but there's a whole big county out there,
exactly.
and one of the things that I know about rural life is that everybody's not the same, and that even the people that live over the Northwest District are going to be very different than the people that live in some other area of the county. And so this would be really a helpful thing.
That's a great idea.
Do you ever have speakers for your meetings?
What we do, we have chamber breakfast and luncheons about 4 times a year. and we do those on various topics as topics arise. We don't have a set agenda for those. We don't have like, usually at the first of the year we'll have our elected officials do sort of a community update. And like I said, we do try to stay out of the political arena. The small chambers just, local chambers just do. But like I say, in the event, like our next breakfast coming up has to do with the drug prevention levy that they're proposing for the November 8th election. So as a topic like that arises, yes, we consider those.
I would love to come sometime and really just present to the members the problem of diabetes. We have this grant because the Appalachian region is geographically, it's the highest risk place in the country. And most people aren't aware of it. And it's really interesting because we have largely a Caucasian population. And most of the groups that are high risk are African American or Asians or Native American. And so us white folk don't always think that we're at risk. But living in this geographic region puts us at high risk, and particularly of great concern is the risk for children and what that's going to mean in their futures. So if there would be a time in the next few months, or
like say our next breakfast is in October, so we would probably plan one for the winter or in the spring.
Okay, and that would be great.
That'd be wonderful.
And then by that time, especially if it would be in the winter, the coalition would have their information together about the direction, and it might be a time that we could actually come and talk about the problem of the disease and also present what the coalition wants to do. And present the theme. We'd like everyone to get on board, and then maybe even get feedback. I don't know whether there's a chance for people to do that, or to kind of
generally we give an evaluation on everything we do.
Okay.
And we ask them to fill it out.
And well, that would be great. So Sharon will stay.
That's what I say. I just get with Sharon.
Yeah, Sharon will stay in touch with you about when. When that might work out in the wintertime, but that would be a great.
Would you have an interest in speaking to smaller groups, like the clubs and organizations? Is that something you would?
Yeah, I think it would be, but probably after we've done the chamber. Okay. And then. I can't be the speaker all the time, so I have to depend on how much Sharon wants to speak.
Well, our church where I go, we have about our average attendance is about 100, at 90 to 100, I guess. But some of us ladies have got together and we're trying to start like a small wellness group, and I was hesitant to kind of call it that, but because I was talking to a healthcare professional and they said, "Oh, wellness is the new buzzword." I'm like, well, I don't like to think of it as a buzzword. I like to think of it as...
It's not a new word. We've been using it for 20 years.
I know, and I thought that kind of burst my bubble a little bit, because I thought, we did want to focus, well, of course, obviously in our church we have different generations, older folks and some of us younger girls, and some younger than me, obviously, But so we wanted to try to start like a health and wellness type group, and with a focus on not on weight loss. We obviously there's several of us that could use help there, and so. And one of the topics that kept coming up that they wanted, because I thought, we could bring speakers in to talk to our small group and things like that. And diabetes was one of the things that ladies kept going back to. Was, we want to learn more about diabetes. We want to. There's some of them that are kind of borderline. Their doctors have told them, "Oh, you're borderline." Well, explain what they need to know more about what borderline means. And so diabetes is one thing that they have asked us to kind of. Okay. And in fact, I had thought about Sharon for that possibly.
Well, and let me just share something with you. One of the things that's going to happen this year is we're going to offer, Sharon's been working with the Diabetes, a Family Matter program, and we're hoping this year to actually get the Ministerial Association together and identify some churches that would be interested in offering this program.
And that might be better too, to get several together to where it could be presented to a larger audience, and
Yeah, and then you
Yeah.
can take it back. So kind of
Exactly.
like a train the trainer
Exactly,
model.
yeah. That's a great idea.
And so that will, well, we're gonna probably try to get with the ministerial group this fall and then offer this training opportunity in the winter sometime.
Okay, good.
So you're on our
Yeah,
list.
good.
But, so it does seem, in talking to people, that church is a great way to get out to
Yeah.
people in a different way.
Mhm.
And it's more and more churches seem to be, not always the minister, but sometimes someone
Yeah.
in the congregation
Mhm.
is interested in thinking about how to promote wellness.
Mhm.
I like the idea of,
Yeah.
of wellness, you
Oh,
know. And actually, if we have this theme, it might be something that could even be brought in as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that would be terrific.
Okay. Yeah, that's something we could. The chamber breakfast or luncheon is just definitely something we could look at.
And is there, as you're thinking, because you've been working with businesses for a long time, and I'm sure you've been working with, how to promote jobs as well as other issues of concern to them. But is there anything that you can think of that would be another way that you might think the chamber might get involved or help?
Oh, like you say, the chamber is just our goal is to give businesses that space to grow and share ideas. So I'm sure there's other ways we could explore.
Are some of your members employers? I don't want to mention names, but employers of workers who only work part-time
Oh yeah.
and that are not really covered by health benefits.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and I can tell you as a community health teacher for years that I've always been concerned that these people don't have any health insurance and often don't know how to take care of their health.
Exactly.
And employers often don't have anything to offer them because insurance is the only thing that they think of.
Yeah.
And possibly some things coming through the chamber might be a way to bring something back to other people in the community.
Yeah, because like I say, I know our chamber, like I say we have around 500 members. We have a few large employers, but most of our members are basically at our base rate, which is up to 5 employees. So we have most of them are they're small businesses.
Yeah, so I think there's probably a lot of potential working with the members themselves. So, well, we would love to be involved as much as we possibly can.
And again, the safety council is another avenue. I think we could really get you, work together with that also.
Do they have a separate meeting from?
Yes, it's separate from anything. It's the last Wednesday of every month at noon. It's a luncheon meeting.
Okay.
And like I say, this past year, since we have decided to focus on the health and wellness, we've been working close with the hospital to set up speakers for that.
Okay.
And a couple different times throughout the year, we're required by the Bureau of Workers' Comp to actually promote the workers' comp services.
Sure.
So this next month, we're having one on their programs and servicing. But like I say, our goal this year was to focus on the health and wellness.
Okay. Well, and I think that between Sharon and I and some others,
Oh yeah, we could work in.
we could. Yeah, that would be great. We would love to have a chance to do that. Well, we started out talking about diabetes, and then we've talked more about wellness, which is prevention. Which is really what we're most interested in.
I didn't get you off track, did I?
No,
Did I do that?
no, not at all. I think that's exactly what I was hoping to learn from you is a little bit more about the opportunities. Sometimes in communities we don't talk to each other enough, and so we ignore the potential for these great partnerships that can happen. And we certainly want to partner, with the chamber as much as possible. Is there anything, though, before we conclude, is there anything else that you want to add or think is important either about diabetes or what needs to happen in the community along the lines of prevention and wellness?
Oh, the only thing I could think of is that, like I said, that the chamber is committed to helping in any way possible to a healthy workforce. Obviously, our goal is to work with businesses and the workforce. And like I said, I don't want to get sidetracked again, but we had taken the initiative here a few years ago. We approached the Life Center about something we could do with them, possibly to promote a healthier lifestyle that would benefit our employers, our members, not just our members, but all employers in the area. And I think we've been doing it about 3 years now. We started a slim down competition. It's kind of like along with The Biggest Loser. The
Sure.
different businesses were doing their own things, but we worked with the Life Center to start a county-wide little competition, friendly competition along those lines. So yeah, the chamber's committed to a healthy workforce. So, any way possibly that we could work with you guys to help get your message out, we would be very willing to do that.
And let me just say, it's not just our message, it's our message.
Exactly.
It really is, one of the things that I tell, because I mainly work with people who are focused on health issues rather than business issues, but when I talk to people in the region and about the problem, I generally say something like, nobody's coming to help us. We're the best we have. And I think that, focusing on well employees means well families, which means a well community. And all of those things really come together. Yeah. And they're not something, in the past we looked at too many of these things as isolated issues.
Exactly.
But if you're not well, you're not going to show up for work.
That's right.
And if you don't show up for work, your family's not going to eat. And if family doesn't eat, then they're all sick.
Exactly.
So it's a very circular kind of process. So, well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm very happy to meet you. I've been hearing about you for a long time, and
well, it's all good.
It has been all good, and I'm hoping that we can really find some ways to partner, because I think that what I kind of like to look at these diabetes coalitions as sort of a way to link different groups in the community together.
Well, hopefully we can help there.
Absolutely, and that we can benefit your folks as well. That'd be a true partnership.
That's right.
Absolutely. Thank you.